Hello and welcome to the channel for today's video where we're going to be reviewing the new Simagic P500 pedal set. Before we get into the video, I do want to make a disclaimer and say that Simagic have sent me these pedals for free. Other than providing the pedals and also the information that is included here in this video, they have had no further input or influence over this entire review process. They've had no part in the editing process, and the first time that they're going to be seeing this video is once it goes public live, when you guys can see it. And all the feedback that I've provided here in this video have also been sent directly to them as well. So the P500s are Simagic's first offering into the entry-level pedal market, being targeted and priced at $200. With that, you're getting a pedal set that is constructed with high precision CNC aluminium alloy, a throttle and a brake pedal as standard. An additional clutch pedal can be purchased as an additional separate accessory. All pedals feature a 12-bit resolution, full angle sensors across all three pedals, and the brake pedal also comes with a 100kg load cell sensor. In addition to all this, the P500s are also compatible with the PHPR and the PHPR Neo haptic pedal reactors. These, however, do not come as standard with the P500s and will need to be purchased separately. Moving on to the aesthetics, customization and installation, I want to start off by saying that these pedals do have a very nice, clean, simple design to them. I like the contrast between the silver and black CNC aluminium alloy, and because of these materials being used here, it does give a nice quality feel to the product. And considering the price point of $200, there's quite a lot of customization here as well. Across the whole pedal deck, there are multiple screw hole positions allowing you to choose where you'd like to place the throttle, brake and clutch pedal, giving you plenty of lateral adjustment there. And then you can also adjust the pedal faces both horizontally and vertically, as well as also adjusting the pedal face angle with a couple of predetermined holes to choose from, allowing you to get a more comfortable driving position. So adjustability wise, things are looking very good here, and I can't really fault what Simagic have done with this pedal set. Certainly beats a lot of the competition at a similar price point, offering you the same sort of customizability and adjustment options that you'll be getting in much higher end, more expensive pedal sets. All the parts and tools in order to make the adjustments and install it to my Track Racer TR80 rig were provided within the box. The instructions were nice and clear and easy to follow, but the one critique I have with regards to the installation process comes with the mounting holes on the P500 pedals. There are 4 mounting holes to use in the base of these pedals, but the position of these mounting holes is a little bit unusual and didn't match all 4 holes up with any of the positions on the pedal deck of my Track Racer TR80 rig. Instead, I had to settle for just mounting via 2 of the holes rather than using all 4. Now, this obviously isn't the end of the world, as I was still able to mount the P500s to my rig. However, for an entry-level set of pedals, I would have been expecting a more common mounting pattern. This may not be an issue for absolutely everybody, as each rig is different. They have different mounting patterns on their pedal deck, so they may have a mounting pattern that does facilitate mounting via all 4 holes on the P500s. Alternatively, if you've got an aluminium profile rig, you can choose to mount it directly to the aluminium profiles if you have it set up in that way. And for those of you who don't even have a rig at all and are just going to be using this on the floor, then this is completely a non-issue and it's going to work fine for you straight out the box. There are textured rubber pads on the underside of the pedals which will help keep it in place and minimize them sliding around whilst in use. Now, this nicely segues us into the driving experience of using these P500 pedals, and as they are an entry-level pedal set, they are fitted with very soft springs straight out of the box. This is in the throttle, the brake, and also in the additional clutch pedal if purchased separately. Obviously, this is set up ready for those users who are not going to be mounting it to a rig or any sort of fixed position and are just going to be driving using the pedals straight off the floor. Likewise, they're going to be suitable for kids and younger adults making their first ventures into the world of sim racing and getting their first set of pedals. For those mounting the P500s to a rig, you'll probably find the default springs being too soft, making it a little bit more difficult to get that finer control of the car and get any sort of real feel through the brake or throttle pedals. Thankfully, Simagic have provided a number of other more stiffer springs that come with the P500s as well. Swapping these round is nice, quick and easy. This is something that I would recommend to those users who are planning on mounting the P500s to a fixed position or to a sim rig. Making that change to one of the stiffer springs, one of those nose that suits your own personal preference will help give you a greater sense of feedback and modulation through the pedal, which will further help improve your car control. The Hall angle sensors with that 12-bit resolution give nice great accuracy throughout the whole of the pedal range and provides a nice amount of confidence modulating the pedals whilst on throttle and under braking. For the brake pedal, Simagic have also provided rubber elastometers, allowing you to combine this with the springs to create a nice two-stage feel, where you get a nice progressive feel up to probably about 70-80% application where you hit the elastometer, and then there's even more resistance in that last 20-30% range. One thing that I hope Simagic will do in the future is provide an additional set of springs for the P500s, possibly as an additional extra upgrade, because the stiffest spring that comes with the P500s isn't quite stiff enough for my own personal liking, and having an even stiffer spring, even if it's an additional optional extra, will help provide even finer control and provide a bit more of an overlap with some more higher level pedals as well. Now, this is the only set of pedals in this price range that features both a Hall sensor and a load cell sensor, a load cell that goes up to 100 kilograms. However, Simagic have missed the mark a little bit here with their implementation of the load cell sensor, or at least it doesn't work as effectively as it should with the current implementation on the P500 pedals. The way that load cell sensors work is they measure pressure for the input rather than the amount of travel going through the pedal. So the harder you push the pedal, not necessarily as how far you push the pedal, is going to determine how much braking input you're actually making. But in order for that to work effectively, there needs to be contact with the sensor the moment that there is pressure input being applied into the pedal. However, the P500's low cell sensor doesn't detect any pressure input until you've gone through the maximum travel of the pedal all the way to 100% and then start to push on beyond that. Now, you will hit the load cell sensor earlier if you're using a rubber elastometer inside the brake pedal, but as I mentioned earlier, you still got to go through 70-80% of the brake pedal travel in order to reach and touch that elastometer. Obviously, once you're actually touching it and you're starting to apply pressure from that, that's going to be putting pressure onto the load cell sensor, so you're going to be getting some input there from the last 20-30%. But the whole purpose of a load cell sensor is that it's much more accurate and more consistent, applying a certain amount of pressure, holding that, and then especially when coming off of the load cell and coming into the phase of bleeding off the brake pedal and starting to trail brake into the corner, that last remaining 5-10% of initial tiny little bit of pressure, holding that is so much easier done on a load cell than it is done on a Hall sensor that is relying on the amount of travel that you're putting into the brake pedal, because trying to be accurate and hold a consistent amount of travel is a fair bit more difficult than it is doing it via pressure. So as it stands, you're losing out on the benefits that the load cell sensor provides, because you're getting this really weird sort of 2-3 stage sort of effect on the brake pedal, where you're pushing the brake pedal all the way to 100% travel. That's effectively stage 1, or if you've got one of these little rubber elastometers actually in the brake pedal, then you kind of, you got that initial 70% is slightly lighter, then you hit one of these and it stiffens up a little bit more, but you still got to go to that 100% brake travel, and then you pushing on beyond that as well. So getting onto the brakes, it feels like a two-step thing, which is a little bit jarring. You're not used to basically using two systems effectively at the same time, because you're braking to what feels like 100%, but then having to brake even hard or push even harder on the pedal to brake even harder. So that feels really, really odd and strange. And then you lose completely all the benefits when you're coming off the pedal, because the moment you start to release any sort of pressure, you're coming off the load cell, you're then starting to effectively come into the range of travel and getting that last sort of hanging on to the brake by 5-10%, just that tiny little bit of initial input that you want as you're bleeding off the brake and kind of wanting to control the speed and start to trail brake into the corner. That's so much more difficult doing that last bit by travel, especially coming off of the load cell, coming into the Hall sensor effect. So it's a little bit strange. I have gone back to Simagic directly with them on this feedback and proposed the solution of effectively having what is going to be a rubber elastometer that is effectively the length of two pushed together like so, because that is effectively the length of the compartment within the brake cylinder, the braking mechanism, and that is the length that the springs are set at as well. But if you have effectively that one longer cylinder, the moment that you're going to start applying any sort of pressure or input onto the brake pedal, it is going to be in contact with the load cell sensor, and that will activate it and basically work it in the traditional way that load cell sensors are used to. I did ask Simagic if I could take 2 of the elastometers and put them together like that, as I've kind of been demonstrating here throughout the video to indicate the kind of length that they need to be doing. But they did advise heavily against this, because when you apply a substantial amount of pressure where they're 2 separate objects, there's every chance that they could move, slip about, potentially damaging the elastometers or damaging the springs within the mechanism. Even worse, could end up potentially damaging the hall sensor or the load cell sensor as well. So obviously we don't want to be doing that, and obviously I've not tried it out myself, but hopefully Simagic can come up with a solution and provide that to all who do purchase the product and do want to make use of the load cell sensor that is there. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame really that we can't talk more positively about the driving experience with the load cell sensor, because these are a fantastic set of pedals for this price point. The amount of adjustability, the amount of customization that you can make with them, the features that it has, it's going to be perfect for players all the way from the entry level looking to just put the pedals on the floor, mount a steering wheel to their desk or some other form of apparatus to go sim racing at a very, very early stage in their sim racing kind of experience, life, career, whatever you want to call it really. All those very early entry players, all those to more experienced players who have rigs and want a nice, good set of cheap pedals that are good build quality, got plenty of features, plenty of adjustment and customizability, and also have the option there of the load cell sensor. So hopefully Simagic will provide that solution in the future for the load cell. I'll more than happily do an updated video in the future specifically talking about the driving experience with the load cell sensor if they do provide that. But hopefully this review has been useful to you. If it has, please leave the video a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing for more content in the future. And until the next time, I've been Yorkie. Have fun, stay safe, take care.